The battlefield lay in ruins, littered with corpses beneath a tempestuous sky. A hand tightened its grip on the blood-dripping sword, reflecting the lightning that tore through the heavens. The hierarch of the Sun-Moon divine cult sat upon a stone throne amidst a shroud of bloody mist. The Sword Emperor of the Southern Heaven Palace. How amusing! The long-haired man gasped for breath, his face battered and bloodied, yet his gaze remained unshakable. To think you could still crawl your way here in such a state. Lord of the Southern Heaven Palace. Nam Vin then gritted his teeth, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Amusing? Did you just say, amusing? He recalled the past scene. Lord of the Palace. The Sun-Moon divine cult has entered the Anhui territory. What should we do? The sword of a righteous warrior is sharp because it bears a heavy burden, and upright because it never compromises. Is that which you hold the sword of a righteous warrior, or that of a mere mortal? The disciples of the Southern Heaven Palace stood solemnly before the shrine. Not a single disciple of the Southern Heaven Palace is a mere mortal. We shall forever stand by your side, my lord. Returning to reality, Nam Vin then stood amidst the corpses of his disciples, roaring in agonizing pain. Yes, that is exactly what I taught you. His hand tightened around the jade hilt of his sword. And you have done precisely that. Now, it is my turn. Nam Vin then roared in fury. The disciples of the Southern Heaven Palace did not retreat. They marched forward. The solitary back of the one-armed palace lord stood amidst a forest of swords, to fulfill their duty to the martial path they chose. A mighty stomp of his foot shook the earth, shattering the ground all around him. To those who have proven their justice and unyielding chivalrous spirit, Nam Vin then glared at his enemy with burning hatred. How dare a bastard like you utter the word amusing? His bloody, trembling hand clutched the sword hilt. I no longer have the strength to hold the blade steady. And yet, the sword sovereign braced himself, resolved to swing his blade. Sword sovereign of the Southern Heaven Palace. Can you bear the weight of these consequences? When the sword is already in the swordsman's hand, what is there that I cannot bear? He laughed maniacally, his third eye flashing. Do you truly believe the sky will remain like this forever? The sword sovereign lunged forward, swinging his blade in a direct strike at him. A violent clash of power erupted, sparks illuminating the entire battlefield. The razor-sharp arc of his blade flashed, decapitating the Sun-Moon sect leader in an instant. Blood erupted as the severed head hung suspended in midair. The sword sovereign was visibly exhausted after the decisive blow. The suspended head let out a grotesque laugh. Because the black sun and the red moon always yearn for one another, the head spun amidst billowing torrents of dark energy, forcing the sword sovereign to look up in astonishment. They shall never be parted. A colossal burst of violet energy exploded, devouring the space around them. Malevolent energy surged outward, triggering an explosion that shook heaven and earth. Fierce winds howled beneath a sky stained an eerie violet. The sword sovereign plunged his blade into the ground, straining to keep from collapsing under the crushing pressure. He gasped for breath, his eyes burning with fatal resolve. I see, then, let us perish together. He looked back at the bodies of his fellow disciples strewn across the ground. Step by heavy step, he dragged himself through the pools of crimson blood. The legendary swordsman fell to his knees upon the blood-drenched earth. The title of Sword Emperor is utterly meaningless, when I could not protect even a single disciple. Forgive me, my disciples. His face laid bare a profound helplessness before fate. A freezing wind whipped through his disheveled hair as death drew near. Indeed, that sky is what we always sought to protect. Is that not the grand righteousness and the path of chivalry? It is so blue, so vast and high, but how could someone like me, who failed to protect his own disciples, ever dare to reach for it? If only I had been stronger, if only I had strived just a little harder. Had I fought with more desperate abandon, would I be gazing upon the sky with you, the last thing remaining on my blade? Everything dissolved into the silent darkness of the void. A distant voice calling Mumyong's name shattered the silence. Startled, the boy's eyes snapped open, his body drenched in sweat from the nightmare. You bastard! A brutal kick slammed directly into him. He scrambled to his feet, staring around in utter bewilderment. You lazy dog! A mere sword-bearer like you dares to sleep at this hour. What in the world is this? The man struck again, unleashing a merciless blow straight to the boy's face. He cursed with every blow. I gave you a name, and I fed a crippled orphan with severed meridians like you. How dare you feign illness to shirk your duties? Raising his arms to shield himself, he thought, what is happening? I was dead. I know I died. Memories of his past life flooded back. This is no dream. My disciples. The battle against the demonic cult. I remember it all too clearly. I am the Lord of the Southern Sky Palace. Nam Shin. Has my dying will defied heaven itself? Wait, this man. His hand shot out, catching and tightly gripping the ankle of the man who was kicking him. The bearded man's eyes widened in sheer astonishment at this sudden display of strength. Wait, what is the strength? He was still groaning in pain just yesterday, slowly rising to his feet. His eyes flared crimson with a murderous intent that made his assailant tremble. His razor-sharp gaze locked onto the man, radiating an aura of bone-chilling cold. Drenched in cold sweat, the man shuddered under the suffocating pressure. Hurled backward, he crashed to the ground and shrieked in agony. Approaching him, the boy stood tall, looking down with cold disdain. In a panic, the man desperately clutched the hilt of his sword in self-defense. He narrowed his eyes, watching the pathetic, futile struggle with sheer contempt. One who torments a child ignorant of the martial arts is unworthy of holding a sword. Deoxum, are you such a worthless wretch that you let a mere sword-bearer trample over you? If I were you, I would have drowned myself in a puddle and ended it all. And to think Mumyong's meridians are completely severed. How utterly pathetic. He gritted his teeth, his chest heaving with fury and humiliation. You bastard, Mumyong! Has the severing of your meridians driven you mad? Just as he was about to draw his blade, the youth lunged forward like lightning, seizing his wrist in a vice-like grip. With sudden, decisive swiftness, the youth unsheathed the man's own sword. The blade traced a flawless arc, severing Deoxum's arm. The surrounding onlookers gaped in utter shock. Absolute astonishment was etched onto every face. My arm! My arm! Raise your head. The man collapsed to his knees, clutching his severed arm in agonizing pain. His face contorted in agony, tears streaming down from sheer terror. In his eyes, the youth suddenly loomed as majestic as a god of war. He stared, realizing with trembling horror that this person was not Mumyong. His usual timid, pathetic demeanor had vanished entirely. It is as if he is a completely different person. In the distance, a brooding sky enveloped the village, heralding an impending storm. A band of masked, white-clad assassins, radiating pure killing intent, began to assemble. Do not forget, our supreme priority is to capture the one with the severed meridians. Anyone who stands in our way, kill them all. As you command. Back in the present, the one-armed man groveled at the youth's feet, trembling uncontrollably. The youth's eyes flashed with a chilling coldness, exerting a suffocating pressure over him. Drenched in sweat, the man was gripped by the absolute certainty of his own demise. Mumyong,
I'm sorry.
Without a word, he silently produced his coin purse with trembling hands. He fell to his knees, offering a pouch of atonement. This is not enough to make amends, but it is all I have. Please, forgive me. The youth stood towering, his gaze cold as he looked down at the wretch at his feet. Forgiveness, you say? Deoxum, did you truly think I did not know your nature? For 5 long years, my clothes were never enough to keep warm, and my meals could be counted on one hand. Whenever you were idle or vexed, you dragged me out to beat me. Denying a sword slave his wages, you bled me dry, and when I writhed in agony from severed meridians, you ruthlessly trampled upon me. The crowd whispered amongst themselves, while a woman in a black bamboo hat watched in silence. The mysterious woman's expression shifted slightly. That child! My appearance may have changed, but this body remembers vividly every torment you inflicted. Of what use is an insincere apology, even when accompanied by gold? Though you grovel and kowtow, I see straight through to your black heart. The man's eyes widened in sheer terror as he realized death was looming close. A decisive arc of the blade swung upward, striking down upon the sinner without a shred of hesitation. The cold steel swept through, spraying a streak of crimson blood into the air. The price for tormenting the weak is your head. One who bears no responsibility toward martial arts has no right to wield a sword. The mysterious woman's eyes widened in utter astonishment upon hearing those words. That is the core tenet of the Azure Sky Society. How could that child possibly know? He turned and walked away with nonchalance, leaving the corpse lying in a pool of blood. Looking up at the sky, he sighed softly, contemplating the long road ahead. He fell deep into thought. What should I do next? I have neither allies nor influence in this place. A blood-curdling shriek pierced the air from behind, causing him to startle and look back. In the distance, a man was fleeing in blind panic. From his hidden vantage point, the youth watched in silence. Save me! Someone, please save me! The white-clad figure unleashed a slash that cleaved the victim in two in the blink of an eye. The demon fiends! Witnessing the brutal spectacle, his face hardened, his eyes burning with fury. It's the demon fiends. Run. Everyone, flee. It is the sun-moon demonic cult. The crest of the black sun enveloping the crimson moon. That is undoubtedly their insignia. That radiating malice, it is surely demonic energy. I thought they perished alongside the southern heaven temple to vanquish them. How are those fiends still alive? The henchmen brandished their sabers, slaughtering the villagers. Seal off the area immediately. Find the one with severed meridians. He furrowed his brows. Severed meridians? Are they searching for me? His hand, gripping the hilt of his sword, trembled with sheer rage. Slaughtering innocent people, they haven't changed a bit. His gaze burned with resolve. I cannot stand by and do nothing. The crimson-eyed killers stood there, devoid of emotion. Besides, those monsters, he stepped forward resolutely, blade in hand, have no right to exist in this world. Myung, what do you think you're doing? You must flee at once. Going there is suicide. Standing tall against the impending danger, his silhouette pressed forward. Once you bear a sword. He turned his head slightly, a confident smile playing on his lips. You must know when to unsheath it. The others were taken aback by this sudden change in their junior brother's demeanor. Myung, the white-clad assassins of the sun-moon demonic cult charged, weapons bared. Right now, I possess no internal energy, and this body is in a pathetic state. Regardless, I must take a deep breath to steady my breathing. But the path of my martial arts remains unchanged. He tightened his grip on the hilt in his hand. Because in my past life I was the Sword Emperor. Wait, hold on. Since when did the Sword Sovereign get promoted to Sword Emperor? His sword swung up in a blinding flash. From the shadows of the brush, a woman wearing a black bamboo hat quietly watched him. Is that the stance of the Three Talents sword style? I thought he had never trained in martial arts. A brilliant aura erupted from the crown of Myung's head. His Baihui acupoint is glowing. In that state of mind, he is completely oblivious to his surroundings. To think his concentration could be so absolute. Myung narrowed his eyes, locking onto the targets around him. 3 to the left, 4 to the right. Raising his sword high above his head, he assumed a rock-solid stance, ready to strike. An assassin lunged from the left, swinging his blade directly at his head. Heaven! He planted his foot firmly onto the ground, gathering momentum to unleash a counterstrike. A vertical slash ripped through the air, cleaving the assassin in two. The enemy's corpse fell to the ground behind his back. The remaining assassins brandished their swords and lunged forward in unison to surround him. Myung spun on his heel, his sword weaving a continuous flurry of slashes in defense. Earth! His sword clashed repeatedly with the enemy's weapons, igniting a blinding shower of sparks. An assassin swooped down, swinging a heavy blade directly at Myung's head. Calmly tilting his head, He evaded the blade by a mere hair's breadth. Man! Mumyong thrust his sword straight into the man's chest. The blade traced a sharp arc of light, piercing deep into his opponent's body. Exiting his combat stance, he returned to his normal state. The Demon Moon assassin fell to his knees, blood spurting from the wound on his back, while Mumyong stood towering over him. Truly, a monster. He gazed down at the dying enemy at his feet with a cold, indifferent stare. As the assassin collapsed and drew his last breath, Mumyong flicked his sword, shaking off the blood. The corpses of the Demon Moon assassins lay scattered at the feet of the young sword slave. Watching from afar, the mysterious woman could not believe her eyes. To think he only used the basic 3-talent sword style. He is a prodigy of the blade. That child is a born genius. A voice cried out, "What in the world is this?" From atop the roof, a group of black-clad assassins with glowing red eyes peered down. Are there still some of them left? The entire first squad has been wiped out? There is no way they could have been defeated by mere vagrants. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword, casting a razor-sharp gaze toward the new foes. Suddenly, Mumyong's chest tightened with excruciating pain. The agony from his severed meridians flared up, bringing him to his knees as he used his sword to prop up his trembling body. That's right, I forgot. The meridians of this body are severed. Spasms? At a time like this, but this sensation, could it be? Atop the roof, 2 white-clad assassins stood looking down at Mumyong. Could it be him? The child afflicted with the 9 severed meridians. He matches the bounty description perfectly. Capture him alive. Do not harm him. 3 assassins swooped down from the air. He groaned in agony, his trembling hand clinging desperately to the hilt of his sword. A bolt of blue lightning tore through the sky, striking directly at the oncoming assassins. Blue lightning? Atop the roof, a woman wearing a black conical hat appeared, the sword in her hand crackling with arcs of blue lightning. Hak Van Hai Ko's face was partially veiled beneath the brim of her black conical hat.
Hắc Vân Hí Cô.
Why is she here? The Thuong Thien Society must have caught wind of this. The assassin frantically blew his alarm whistle. Looking down from her high vantage point, Hak Van Hai Ko stared at the demonic cultists forming their ranks. The primary objective is the priority. The rest of you, buy me some time. The assassins recklessly lunged onto the rooftop, aiming to corner the swordswoman. Drawing her blade, she unleashed an aura thick with murderous intent. Her eyes glowed with a brilliant blue light, resonating with her sword chi. In the blink of an eye, strikes laden with lightning swept away the demonic cultists blocking her path. She landed gracefully upon another tiled roof. A single step slammed down, whipping up a swirling vortex of dust and wind. Mumyong's eyes widened in sheer astonishment at the sight. One after another, the demonic fiends were decapitated by sword strikes crackling with blue lightning. Could it be that footwork? No, it is undoubtedly the shadowless steps. That is clearly the ultimate technique of my Southern Heaven Temple. How could that bamboo-hatted swordswoman perform it? Behind him, a hulking demonic fiend clad in black, with eyes glowing a sinister red, materialized like a specter. The assassin thrust out a hand dripping with malevolent energy, snarling, "You are coming with me. Damn it!" Mumyong's body trembled as he struggled to rise, but his ruptured meridians left him completely paralyzed. Hak Van Hai swooped down like lightning, her blade flashing directly at the enemy. The strike, crackling with electricity, swept past, severing his arm in the blink of an eye. In sheer horror, he watched his severed arm fly through the air. She spun on her heel, her blade carving a fatal arc. "Take your filthy hands off him. I've taken quite a liking to this kid." Prostrate on the ground, Mumyong looked up at the back of the mysterious woman, his body trembling uncontrollably. His head spun, his vision blurred, and the world began to tilt. His strength utterly depleted, he collapsed into unconsciousness, prompting Hak Van Hai to turn back in concern. She quickly caught his limp body in her arms, wondering, "What should I do now?" As silence blanketed the area, he drifted into a deep coma. After a long while, his eyelashes fluttered, and his eyes slowly opened. He bolted upright on an unfamiliar bed, drenched in sweat and gasping for breath. "You're awake," the youth startled, his eyes widening. Seated beside him, the mysterious woman offered a gentle smile from beneath her black bamboo hat. As the morning light flooded the wooden room, he sat in a daze, facing his savior. She has undoubtedly mastered the shadowless steps. Yet her swordplay does not belong to the Southern Heaven Temple. What on earth is going on? Your body should be fine now. I have suppressed the frigid chi of the 9 severed meridians within you. Yes, the 9 severed meridians. But does this not manifest only in women? Why does a man suffer from it? Myung clutched his aching chest, feeling a sharp pang. Yet, to suppress the freezing chi of the 9 severed meridians, this person's strength must be extraordinary. She tilted her head, observing him closely. His voice sounds like that of a mere youth, yet his martial prowess is truly astonishing. She gently reached for the brim of her bamboo hat. "Forgive my discourtesy. I forgot myself." Under his curious gaze, the woman slowly removed her black bamboo hat. Her long, raven-black hair was bound high in a bun. Her delicate features and a radiant smile were revealed under the light. "Your name is Myung, is it not? I am Lee Seha of the Blue Heaven Society. Would you care to join me? If you take me as your master, not only will you learn martial arts, but you will also find a cure for the 9 severed meridians." He asked in return, "Why are you treating me with such kindness? This is far too sudden. I saw your sword strikes, clean, straight, and decisive, and I was deeply impressed that you did not falter for a moment before the demons." He looked at her with skepticism. "I am indeed curious about how to cure the 9 severed meridians. Never before have I heard of anyone surviving it." Lee Seha offered a confident smile, extending her hand. "That is because of this." A surge of inner chi, crackling like condensed lightning, enveloped her fingertips. "I have mastered the heavenly thunder true yang art, accumulating pure yang energy. I intend to teach it to you to unblock your meridians. Were you a woman, this method would be utterly impossible." Myung gazed thoughtfully at the swirling true chi. She is right. The 9 severed meridians cannot be overcome by ordinary pure yang arts alone. The speed at which the icy yin energy accumulates is far greater than that of the overwhelming yang energy. If refined incorrectly, the violent clash of yin and yang will lead to death. But you are a man, armed with your innate yang energy. If you cultivate the heavenly thunder true yang art and utilize spiritual elixirs, you will stand a chance of surviving. He bowed his head in contemplation. Not a bad idea. The heavenly thunder true yang art is undoubtedly a supreme martial art. Furthermore, his eyes flashed with sudden brilliance. If I can conquer this and absorb the raw energy sealed within the severed meridians, it will serve as the foundation to help me surpass the realm of my past life. He cast her a probing glance. "But what is more important is, why do you wish to take a sword slave, a complete stranger, as your disciple?" She offered a faint, cryptic smile at his direct question. "Those who cannot bear responsibility for their martial arts have no right to hold a sword. Did you not say so? I do not want a disciple who wields their sword half-heartedly. I need someone with a righteous heart." Myung stood frozen, deeply struck by the sincerity of her words. He clenched his fists, murmuring in quiet emotion, "A righteous heart. What will happen if I do not accept your offer? You will remain a target of the demonic cult. Therefore, you must either stay with the Azure Heaven Society or live in seclusion under our secret protection." He furrowed his brows, testing her. "Why does the Azure Heaven Society go to such lengths for me? Would it not be better to kill me to eliminate any future trouble? If we did that, how would we be any different from the demonic path? I must protect what can be protected." She sighed softly. "In this world, there are countless people willing to sacrifice minor interests for the greater good. Most choose to preserve the grander scheme. But does that mean there is no need for anyone to hold onto the small things left behind? I want to be that kind of person." Those words shook the soul of the Sword Emperor to its very core. He smiled with relief. "A person who holds on to the small things, you are truly worthy of being my master." Without a moment's hesitation, he bowed deeply to acknowledge her as his master. I was wary and harbored doubts about you. Please forgive me. Oh, is that so? Then, have you made your decision? Yes, I will follow you, my lady. Very well. You have made the right choice, Mumyong. But do you have another name? The name Mumyong is a bit. He lowered his head, thinking in resentment. Mumyong, that bastard Deoxys dared to call me by this nameless moniker. She lightly placed a hand to her chin, pondering. To shake off the demonic cult, you will need a new name. He made a silent resolve. In this life, I must inherit the spirit of the Southern Heaven Palace. To honor my sect, my surname shall be Namgung. To complete what could not be finished with the sun and moon demonic cult in my past life, I shall use the character Dun, which signifies completion. If you haven't thought of another name, Namgung Dun. My name shall be Namgung Dun. Namgung Dun. Gung Dun, is it? It doesn't sound half bad. He knelt straight before her with a solemn expression. He clasped his hands and bowed his head in salute. Your disciple, Gung Dun. He prostrated himself, pays respects to master. She smiled with satisfaction, gazing down at her newly accepted disciple. He remained in a deep prostration, his hair cascading onto the floor. Leaning forward, she spoke. Very well, my disciple. Now, this may seem somewhat sudden. Her face drew closer, wearing an excited grin. But we shall begin our martial arts training immediately. He froze, breaking into a cold sweat from the shock. Pardon. Dusk enveloped the ancient sanctuary deep within the mountain forests. The secret manual lay open upon the table. The foundation of martial arts begins with mastering the mnemonic formulas. She smiled. Shall we begin learning the formulas of the heavenly thunder true yang art? Night fell, and a canopy of brilliant stars shimmered beyond the eaves. She patted the book excitedly. Kung Yun. This is the secret manual of the heavenly thunder true yang art. Bewildered, he thought, my surname is Namgung, not Nam? Has master truly never heard of my clan? Her hands flipped through the pages of the manual. Since you were once a sword page, you must be literate and possess basic knowledge, but I will explain it nonetheless. He nodded attentively. Yes, master. To reach the realm of 3 flowers gathering at the crown at her age, master is truly a once-in-a-century genius. This will be of immense help when we face the demonic cult. Her talent is by no means inferior to mine in my past life. She then asked, now, what do you think this mnemonic is saying about internal energy? The internal energy must be circulated with greater force to pass through the Yuzhong acupoint. It is as if one must force it through rather than allowing it to drift naturally. My disciple, how can you be so brilliant? You have understood it perfectly. Your comprehension is truly extraordinary. She thought to herself, it feels as though I am speaking with an equal, or perhaps even a greater master. The first light of dawn gradually broke, dispelling the silent night. She glanced out the window. Morning has broken. Aren't you tired? He stood up. I have memorized the formulas, and I wish to begin meditating and regulating my breath immediately. She looked slightly concerned. But you cannot possibly feel internal energy right after just learning the cultivation technique. Do not worry. I will be here should anything go awry. Do not force it. Yes, master. A stream of true qi began to circulate, activating his acupoints. Even with natural talent, it usually takes 7 days and nights to feel qi for the very first time. Closing his eyes, he focused his senses. But this body, with but a single breath, he could feel the energy surging and spreading within. He silently assessed. The bloodlines and meridians of this body are truly extraordinary. Combined with the memories of my past life, I will surely achieve greatness. Li Seha watched in awe at the sparks of electricity radiating from him. To sense the qi so quickly, my disciple is truly a genius. Since the body was once shrouded in a frigid chill, the warmth in the dantian is all the more pronounced. This is indeed the pure yang qi. He slowly opened his eyes, his gaze sharp and radiant now that his meridians were cleared. His master clapped in approval. Well done! As Gung Dun looked up humbly. She extended her hand before him. Why don't you try to do as your master does? Instantly, a current of blue electricity enveloped her hand. Can you do it? Gung Dun pondered. They say that upon entering the Jianghu, one should never easily reveal their true strength. But before my master, there is no need to hide. He channeled his inner force, concentrating the energy in his hand. Her jaw dropped when she saw her disciple accomplish it with such effortless ease. She marveled. To have taken in a disciple of such extraordinary comprehension, I must have exhausted a lifetime of good fortune. I wish to learn more swordplay and footwork. His master immediately nodded in eager excitement. Come with me to the Azure Sky Alliance. There you will find the martial arts that suit you. Hearing that he would learn new martial arts, he nodded in keen anticipation. He recalled the martial arts of the Southern Heaven Palace from his past life. If I merely replicate it, tragedy will surely repeat itself. He clenched his fists. To prevent that, I must forge a martial art that surpasses even that of my past life. Master and disciple set off on their journey together. They traversed treacherous, winding paths to reach the Azure Sky Alliance. This place was a coalition of survivors from the clans decimated by the Sun and Moon demonic cult. As they walked, he inquired, Master, did you not say the core of the alliance is justice and the path of chivalry? If so, shouldn't our absolute priority be to annihilate the demonic cult for vengeance? The founding leader once said, a life bought with the sacrifices of heroes must not be cast back into the flames of hatred. Thus, we must use these lives of ours to aid others, and choose the path of chivalry over vengeance. Beyond the martial arts gathered over time, the Library of Archives also houses countless techniques voluntarily contributed by our members.
Lei Sea suddenly paused.
My clan was also destroyed by the demonic cult. Beneath the brim of her bamboo hat, she pressed her lips together in silent sorrow. The martial arts I wield is a fusion of my family's secret arts and the techniques I chose from the archives. You, too, shall find a martial art that suits you. He thought to himself, so that is why. That explains how the martial arts of the Southern Heaven Palace ended up here. Nearly 2 centuries have passed since the fall of the Southern Heaven Palace. If the demonic cult has grown this powerful, the might of the Azure Sky Coalition must be formidable indeed. Seeing his master sniffle, he became flustered. I am sorry for stirring up your painful memories, master. She waved her hand and laughed aloud. It is nothing. I just let my disciple see me in such a pathetic state. We are almost there. Pick up the pace. My disciple, Mount Huang, is famed for its 4 wonders. Can you guess what they are? The wondrous pines, the sea of clouds, the bizarre rocks, and the hot springs. Aren't you a clever one? The Azure Sky Coalition lies hidden deep within those 4 wonders. She stepped forward into the mist. We must navigate a formation. Keep close to my footsteps. Gung Dun gasped in awe as he stepped through the veil of mist. A colossal palace materialized before them. He froze in utter disbelief. This is the Southern Heaven Palace, and it stands on the exact same ground as it did in my past life. Welcome back, Hall Leader. We pay our respects to the Heavenly Sword Hall Leader. Noticing that everyone wore bamboo hats, his curiosity piqued. Master, is there a reason why everyone here wears a bamboo hat? She looked down at her young disciple with a smile. In time, you will understand. Leading him through the massive gates, she announced, I have returned. Elder Mosher stood waiting to receive them. Is this the child you spoke of, Heavenly Sword Hall Leader? Indeed, this is my disciple, she declared proudly, slinging an arm over his shoulder. The elder narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing the boy. Taking him as your personal disciple, you must think highly of him. With your backing, we shall waive all trials except the test of martial arts. When do you intend to have him tested? Before his master could answer, Gung Dun stepped forward. I can take the test right now. The elder looked startled. Right now? Have you not only just begun your martial path? Yes. I have only just learned the Heavenly Thunder True Yang art.
Elder Montag, she chuckled in amusement.
Very well, if that is the case. He gestured to the guard standing behind him. See if you can withstand a single blow from him. The crew-cut warrior stepped forward. I am Kang Mong of the Hung Mak tribe. Confused, the boy looked at his master. I have no sword. His master handed him her own sword. Take this. An ordinary blade cannot withstand Kang Mong's blows. He accepted it respectfully. Thank you, master. Kang Mong drew his sword. Do not be reckless. Just dodge. He glared. Or you will die. Stamping his foot with immense force, Kang Mong lunged forward like a shot arrow, whipping up a cloud of dust. He swung his sword, bringing it down in a vertical slash. Leaping into the air, the man delivered a heavy strike, which the boy quickly raised his sword to block. Sparks flew as the two blades clashed. The boy stopped the strike dead in its tracks, to Kang Mong's utter astonishment. Sturdy enough. Leveraging his opponent's own force, the boy met hardness with softness, spinning around to launch a lightning-fast counterattack. Kang Mong's eyes widened in disbelief. Did he just deflect that strike? Gung Dun leapt high, gripping his sword with both hands as he brought it crashing down. The exact same technique I just used. Landing gracefully, the boy immediately pulled back into a firm defensive stance. Kang Mong stood rooted to the spot, his sword hand trembling uncontrollably. Looking at the boy, he thought to himself, such a slender frame, yet possessing unfathomable strength. Kang Mong realized that this power did not stem from physical strength alone. The boy exhaled deeply, a shroud of sword chi enveloping him, leaving everyone in awe. Beside them, his female master bragged, "That is my disciple." Not only did he block the attack, but he also counterattacked. Kang Mong was filled with doubt. They said he only just learned the mental cultivation method, so how is his strength this terrifying? Looking down at the long skid marks of his own footsteps on the ground, was I actually pushed back? A mere one cloud? Suddenly, the old ink master spoke up. Where will the future of our association lead? It will be secured for the next 50 years because of him. To achieve this right after learning the mental cultivation method, he is indeed a natural-born genius. Master Mo is descending in person. He hasn't stepped down there since the entrance examination. If the guild master saw this, he would undoubtedly fight to claim him as a disciple. This is going to be rather troublesome. What is your name? I am Gung Dun. From this moment forth, you are a member of the Azure Heaven Guild. Rank, First Cloud. My disciple. I hope you will swiftly ascend to the fourth cloud. Kang Mong reached into his robes. To explain further, your status changes according to the number of clouds you possess. He extended his hand. Take this. I have learned a lesson from you. It was a jade token engraved with clouds. He thought to himself. He is the examiner, yet even after being forced back, he accepts it with composure. I like him. Clasping his hands, he accepted the token. My sincere thanks. Li Seha exclaimed. Now my disciple can enter the treasured weapons pavilion, right? Old Master Mo nodded. She hastily tugged her disciple's arm. Come, let's go. Being dragged along, he cried out in a hurry. Master, please slow down a bit. Old Master Mo watched them go. With enough sunlight and water, that tree will surely reach the heavens. He patted Kang Mong's shoulder. The hall master has provided the sunlight and water. We must prepare the fertile soil. Kang Mong murmured his name. Gung Dun. He looked at his hand, still deeply marked from the previous clash. How could he have unleashed such a sword strike? Old Master Mo turned back to advise him. You had best replace your sword. What? He looked down at his hip. His beloved sword had been split by a deep, gaping crack. This treasured weapons pavilion is called the Self-Reflection Pavilion, meaning to reflect upon oneself. He looked up in astonishment. The scale is immense. Even the library pavilion of the Southern Heaven Palace cannot compare to this. His master led the way ahead. Most sects restrict access to secret manuals. She pulled out a volume labeled 3 Clouds Phantom Swordplay to show him and continued. But we have no such restrictions, because we must constantly grow stronger to fight the Sun-Moon Divine Cult and champion righteousness. Gung Dun asked in surprise. So you have abolished the restrictions, but established a standard instead? She smiled and replied, Exactly. If your cloud rank is too low, There will be things you are not permitted to see. Gung Dun placed his hand on his chin in thought. So that is why it is called the Self-Reflection Pavilion, to reflect upon whether one is worthy of reading the secret manuals. Let's see. She turned back to look at her disciple with eyes full of anticipation and asked, "Do you need me, your master, to choose a suitable martial art for you, Dun?" He politely declined. "No, thank you, master. There is no need." Placing his hand over his heart, he declared with unwavering resolve, "I wish to choose a secret manual of my own accord." Li Seha's eyes widened slightly, taken aback by the sheer confidence and resolve of his young disciple. Narrowing his eyes, Li Seha let out a knowing, enigmatic smile. "Very well, but you must show me the manual you choose." "Understood." "Yes, master." A blood-red sunset draped over the majestic tiled roofs of the Azure Heaven Association. Within the vast scripture pavilion, Gung Dun was buried in his search among the piles of books, while the middle-aged disciple watched him from afar. Resting his chin on his hand, he fell deep into thought, recalling the words Li Seha had left behind. Is this really going to be all right? If my disciple loses his way, please offer him some guidance. I have some urgent matters to attend to. If my disciple loses his way, please offer him some guidance. But a yellow-bound book fell onto the cluttered pile on the floor. Is he even reading those books? Ha! He isn't losing his way. He's just causing trouble. He stood up, intending to admonish him. Since he is only a first cloud disciple, I should break it to him gently. Ahem. Excuse me, young man. Gung Dun began his practice. I shall use this training sword. What? Gung Dun swung the sword, executing lightning-fast strikes that sliced cleanly through the air with absolute decisiveness. The disciple guarding the archives stared in sheer disbelief at the youth's innate talent. This is impossible. No, there is absolutely no mistaking it. He wasn't merely flipping through random books. The star-forging sword technique, the 12 swords of the Ruin Mountain, and the heaven-shaking sword technique. He was searching solely for swift sword manuals. A violent surge of azure sword chi erupted, swirling around Gung Dun like a raging tempest. The terrifying pressure sent a violent tremor through the bamboo scrolls resting upon his desk. That strike just now, it was like a flash of lightning. Who are you? Ha! Yong-ai turned his head in a daze as he felt a colossal pressure looming behind him. I asked you, what manner of being are you? Those martial arts techniques just now, a crimson bloodlust radiated from the oppressive man. Was that demonic chi? To think a demonic practitioner could infiltrate the very heart of the Azure Heaven Association. How could such a thing even be possible? The air plunged into a suffocating silence, books lying scattered and strewn across the floor. How could a demonic practitioner have made it all the way here? Senior Sword Demon. This child is just a recruit who recently joined the association. A recruit, you say? Step aside. You are in my way. He silently sized up the man. Is he of the 4 clouds? But a black cloud at that? What was that swordplay just now? It is a technique I have never seen in the self-reflection weapon pavilion. Though he is a demonic practitioner, he doesn't seem to harbor any malice. It is a sword style of my own creation. You do not seem to be boasting. His imposing footsteps drew closer. Intriguing. Show me your swordplay. If you satisfy me, I shall reward you handsomely. Senior, I told you, he is just a recruit who has barely learned the basic cultivation method. Yong-ai, you fool. Just watch. But, Heavenly Sword Hall Master, when will you get here? Yong-ai wept inwardly in sheer helplessness. I want a spiritual elixir as my reward. He decisively assumed a combat stance, showing no fear. The senior smiled with supreme confidence, slowly drawing his sword from its sheath. Very well. I like your directness, unlike the youngsters of today. Come at me with everything you have. I will not use my internal energy, so we shall fight on equal ground. Staring straight at his opponent with unwavering eyes, he replied with a quiet provocation. You may use it if you find it necessary. The man burst into laughter at his audacity. You truly are mad. First form, single flash. He lunged forward like a bolt of lightning, swinging his sword to execute the opening strike with absolute decisiveness. That strike was quite heavy. Channeling his raw physical strength, the man parried the blade aside. Blown backward by the impact, he deftly flipped in midair to neutralize the residual force with masterful precision. He landed gracefully, his blade pointed straight ahead, poised for the next strike. Mid-swing, as his branching sword trajectory rose toward the high guard, merging with the flow of the 12 swords of the ruined mountain, he raised his sword high, focusing with absolute intensity to alter his form mid-motion. In the blink of an eye, I split a single slash into 3. His opponent's eyes widened in sheer astonishment at the fluid transformation of his technique and the unimaginable speed of his strike. Look at this brat, using the exact same technique as me, and even weaving in another variation? What a magnificent sword. It feels as though I am reclaiming the senses of my past life. But this frail, born weak body with severed meridians cannot endure much longer. I must end this swiftly. I must be faster, and even more precise. By widening my stride by just half an inch at this very moment. 12th form, Eternal Thunderfall, pouring all his strength into his stride. He unleashed a slash laden with the wrath of thunder. A colossal torrent of azure sword chi erupted violently throughout the room with devastating force. A smile spread across his face, flush with sheer, ecstatic thrill at the boy's genius. The sword demon grinned. Exhilarating, truly exhilarating. He gripped the hilt tightly with both hands, bracing for the next strike. His eyes flashed with a surge of azure electricity. I can see the path of the next strike. For what I hold in my hand is a forged bolt of lightning. And so, I must become the lightning itself and storm forward. Searing currents of electricity wrapped around his hand, which held the sword in a tight grip. This is the ultimate trajectory. With a burst of explosive speed, he lunged straight at the sword demon. 13th form, Lone Thunder. A devastating bolt of lightning crashed down upon the library archives, triggering a massive explosion. Gungdun's hand trembled, blood seeping from between his fingers under the sheer pressure of the technique. The sword demon was taken aback. To think I actually felt threatened by him, and even resorted to using my own internal energy. Both immediately leaped back to regain their distance after the clash. I have no choice but to acknowledge it. That boy possesses a heaven-born divine power. That technique just now. The sword demon remarked that, at some point, they had flowed seamlessly into a single sword style. He asked, "There are 13 forms in total, correct?" The youth nodded. "Yes." The sword demon asked, "What is its name?" Behind them, Yong-ai broke into a cold sweat, worrying for the library pavilion. Gungdun muttered softly, "Thunder. It is the 13 thunder strikes of the Flash." Yong-ai slammed his hand onto the table in shock. 13 thunder strikes. To think he dared use Senior Sword Demon's own hands to temper his technique. That is a sword art of at least the 3 clouds rank. You. A smile spread across his face. I like you. Come to the Mo Luin Palace. Gungdun asked in bewilderment. Mo Luin Palace? What is the meaning of this? Lee Se-ha stepped forward. Has the Mo Luin Palace made a habit of stealing other people's disciples? I take a liking to him. Is there a problem with that? He is my disciple. Do not lay a finger on him. The murderous intent of both men exploded, clashing fiercely against each other. The sword demon rested his hand on his hilt. Your disciple? Why should I care? Se-ha, losing his temper, snarled back. Are you looking for a fight? Both of you, please stop. I will go to the Mo Luin Palace. Both gasped in unison. What? He calmly replied. I mean, when I have the time. Since the palace master is curious about my sword, I occasionally act as his sparring partner. Yong-ai broke out in a cold sweat, wondering what on earth that madman was talking about. What did you just say? He laughed heartily at the boy's audacity. You have brought me something quite intriguing. Do not keep me waiting too long. Tossing the black wooden box toward him, he said, Take this. I shall take my leave. In the blink of an eye, his figure vanished. His master crossed his arms in annoyance. Ugh! What a troublesome fellow. What is that? It is the elixir I was promised. That is the white crane pill. Done. This elixir is highly beneficial for those who have just begun to accumulate internal energy. But what did he mean by telling me to go to the Makryan Palace? Aren't we headed straight for the Heavenly Sword Palace? The new disciples of the Cloud Division will have a period to adapt at the first Cloud Dormitory and compete against one another. Only those who perform well will earn the right to choose their own palace. Thus, despite our master-disciple bond, I cannot simply bring you into the Heavenly Sword Palace. Closing the lid of the wooden box, he said, "Do not worry, Master. I will triumph and claim my place in the Heavenly Sword Palace." Night descended upon the Changshan Society. Inside his chamber, Gung Dun placed the elixir into his mouth. An agonizing pain instantly surged through him. Violent convulsions seized him right after ingesting the elixir. Gritting his teeth to endure, he sat cross-legged to regulate the flow of qi. Harnessing his yang qi to shield himself during each convulsion helped dull the pain. Through this, my comprehension of the heavenly lightning true yang art is gradually deepening. Once I have accumulated enough internal energy, I must break through my first acupoint. As the turbulent flow of qi subsided, he collapsed back onto his bed with a sigh of relief. But I must not rush. Even the slightest negligence can lead to qi deviation. Starting tomorrow, I will focus on basic physical conditioning first. The following morning, drenched in sweat, the disciples swung their wooden swords relentlessly at the training targets. This class holds quite a few new recruits. Since great effort was made to recruit them, everyone is striving to their utmost. There are many promising talents. It is truly heartening to see everyone training so diligently. Two disciples stood watching. Who is that training over there? That is Dan Tahue. Word has it her talent is great enough to challenge for the position of Palace Master in the future. Yet, compared to Bak Laitan of Suntae, she still falls slightly short. Gung Dun only held the horse stance while carrying water, never once practicing with a sword. He stubbornly held his stance, even as sweat drenched his body. He should have mastered the basics before coming here. There is barely enough time to swing a sword as it is. A few mocking sneers rang out. Old Master Mo stroked his beard, quietly observing. Only when they clash will we truly know. With so many gathered, let us hold the placement examination in the form of duels. I shall make the preparations. 3 days later, the central martial arena was fully prepared. Has it not begun yet? Let us see how many here are actually worth their salt. In the spectator stands, the elders had assembled in full force. The referee stepped forward and announced, "Let the first match begin. Quiet down." The chime rang out. Dan Tahue and Gung Dun stepped onto the stage, both entering the arena. "Do not expect me to show mercy just because you are young. Draw your sword. I shall wait." Gung Dun calmly replied, "There is no need to wait." That attitude turned Dan Tahue's face red with fury. Dan Tahue screamed, "You arrogant fool!" and swung her sword, slashing forward. Gung Dun calmly spotted an opening in her stance. A precise strike targeted the weak point, shattering her weapon to pieces. Tahue stared in utter disbelief at her broken sword. What? She watched in shock as the fragments of her blade fell. Gung Dun is the victor. Was Dan Sohai defeated so easily? Does anyone know who that youth is? The sword demon nodded in approval. That boy's skills are growing sharper by the day.
Le se replied triumphantly. Naturally.
That is impossible. Sohai stood rooted to the spot, watching as the youth's retreating figure descended from the stage. He brought me down with but a single strike. Next. Look, he is here. The crowd turned their eyes toward the entrance. The renowned rookie of Shangxi stepped forth. Bakery Chong. He stepped onto the stage, brimming with confidence. Let the match begin. His opponent glared in fury. He won't even draw his sword? Is he looking down on me? Yet, even as his opponent was sizing him up, Bakery Chong drew his blade in a flash. In the blink of an eye, he had already closed the distance. The opponent choked back a gasp as the cold scabbard pressed against his throat. Bakery Chong had dominated the duel without breaking a sweat. Bakery Chong cast a subtle glance toward Gung Dun. Ah, as expected. A single strike. The victor. Bakery Chong. The crowd roared. Gung Dun folded his arms, watching closely. Did he just look at me? A faint smile played on his lips. Intriguing. Apologies, but I have no intention of holding back. While everyone assumed Bakery Chong would walk into the finals, an unexpected dark horse had completely upended their expectations. Gung Dun? A brush swept across the parchment, writing his name into the final bracket. I've never heard of him. Who on earth is he? The disciples whispered among themselves. How could someone this powerful have no rumors surrounding him? It is truly bizarre. Lee Seha snickered to himself. It's so hard to hold back my laughter. After all, look whose disciple he is. I truly cannot wait for the final match. The day of the final duel arrived, the air thick with tension. Drums thundered. Bak Lai-tan stood upon the arena, locking eyes with his opponent. Though my opponent is slender, I dare not let my guard down. The sword force he wields is astonishing, tremendously solid. His sword chi is outstandingly fierce, bordering on terrifying. But I cannot afford to lose. Not after all those who sacrificed themselves to shield me from the enemy years ago. Bak Li's eyes burned with veins of deep-seated hatred. I must prevail. Are you youngsters ready? I am Dan Trong I shall personally referee this final match. May you both fight a duel that leaves no room for regret. Begin. Bak Li slowly drew his blade. Word has it his specialty is the heavy sword. He stamped his foot and lunged forward. I will not give him the chance to draw it. His blade swept down with blinding speed. Facing the onslaught, the youth remained serene, watching the incoming strike. With a swift pivot, he completely neutralized the blow. He evaded it that easily? Shifting his heel, the youth adjusted his footwork. Bak Li watched in horror as the youth closed the distance, unleashing the 13 thunderstrikes. Is it not the heavy sword? Panic seized him as the youth unleashed the first form. Single flash. Their blades clashed, triggering a cataclysmic burst of lightning that shook the entire arena. How can he harbor such immense power within that slender frame? Sword chi and dust erupted. The spectators gaped in utter astonishment. Junior brother, I have a question for you. Isn't your primary weapon the heavy sword? He replied calmly. In the martial world, one must always keep a trump card. To think you hit a swift sword of this caliber. Bai Li gripped his hilt tightly, chuckling to himself. I, Bai Li, admit defeat. That was a magnificent duel. The arena erupted in thunderous cheers. An old elder exclaimed, to end every duel with but a single strike. Seha chuckled inwardly. My disciple is truly outstanding. The victor of the tournament is Gung Dun. He nodded with a calm smile. Dan Trong presented it to him. Here is your reward. This is a 300-year-old He Shou Wu. Without many words, he pocketed it, saying, Thank you. The deacon gasped in surprise. To see such a divine herb and remain this composed? Outside, a hall master spoke up. My Phythan palace is ranked among the top 3 of the 10 palaces. If you wish to become the sword sovereign in the future, my palace is the best place to start. He thought to himself, sword sovereign, to confront the demonic sect, I must ascend to that position. What on earth are you all talking about? The sword demon patted the man's shoulder. He has already agreed to join the Mak Luan palace. He stood dumbfounded. When did I ever agree to that? Another elder stepped forward. It has been ages since we had such an outstanding rookie. Even my blood is boiling. He thumped his chest. Join the Fa Phi palace, and we will back you with all our might. The sword demon roared. I already told you. He is joining the Mak Luan palace. The others immediately shot back. Where's the proof in black and white? It is not your decision to make. He and I have already crossed swords. Do you think you are the only one who has fought him? He clasped his hands. Thank you for your kind intentions, but I shall join the Heavenly Sword Palace. Lai the Ha, did you play some trick behind our backs? She smiled and replied, He is my disciple. The sword demon clicked his tongue in regret. The black-bearded elder stroked his chin. So that is it. That aura is the heavenly thunder true yang art. Not Van, trembling, spoke. I request to join the Heavenly Sword Palace. I, the Lord of the Heavenly Sword Palace, accept. The Heavenly Sword Palace stood majestically atop the mountain peak. I have arrived, but what on earth is this? A man stepped forward, provoking him. I have heard much about you. So you possess a talent for the swift sword? Let us see if you are the real deal or just a useless amateur. So that is how it is. Swordsmen speak with their swords. Very well. Draw your sword. He smiled, taking up his stance. The two opponents stared intensely at each other. The senior brother swung his sword and slashed forward. He shifted his footing. He spun gracefully in midair. Gong Dun-am was astonished at the sight. The infinite steps? The two swords clashed, sparks flying. A rookie, yet already proficient in the infinite steps? The two continuously exchanged blows as Lai the Ha stood on the rooftop, observing. The initiation ritual was to overwhelm the rookie with sheer pressure. She smiled proudly. He did not flinch in the slightest and drew his sword immediately, just as expected. Two disciples standing outside marveled. To engage in direct combat with Dun-am, yet his speed does not pale in comparison at all. He is not merely keeping pace. He is growing faster by the moment, already surpassing Dun-am's speed. Dun-am recoiled in admiration. To think such a small frame could unleash a strike of such supreme caliber. The boy exhaled, regulating his vital energy. No wonder the palace master had accepted him. My curiosity is thoroughly piqued. Just how far can you keep pace with me? Se-ha suddenly sent a sound transmission. That is enough. Dun-am cast a fleeting glance toward the roof. Is she truly that concerned for her disciple? Next time, let us spar with great swords. I am Dun-am. It is a pleasure to welcome you. I am Gung Dun. The honor is mine, brother. The courtyard of the Heavenly Sword Palace suddenly erupted with vibrant life. The disciples swarmed around him. Is it true you claimed victory in the grand tournament with a single strike? Did all the palace masters fight to claim you? Our youngest junior brother is no ordinary talent. We might even have to learn a thing or two from him. They all cheered in unison. Welcome to the Heavenly Sword Palace. In the blink of an eye, night fell, and heavy, labored gasps shattered the quiet solemnity of the dark. Gung Dun sat with his head bowed, fists clenched tight as he struggled to endure the worsening spasms. He gritted his teeth and trembled, feeling the frigid energy of the 9-in surging far more intensely than before. His sole recourse now was to channel the lightning force of the heavenly thunder true yang art, suppressing the icy shroud around him until the spasms subsided. In the midst of this dire crisis, a figure hurried into the room, rushing toward him. A warm hand pressed against his back, channeling a stream of pure yang energy. Master! Together, they worked to harmonize the chaotic true qi raging within his body. Thank you, Master. With your aid, the spasms were far easier to endure. Se-ha let out a sigh of relief. I sensed the violent fluctuations of your true qi from afar. It was truly a perilous moment. Gazing at the wooden box, he thought to himself, I must elevate my mastery of the heavenly thunder true yang art as swiftly as possible. Se-ha nodded in solemn agreement. The affliction of the 9-in severed meridians would only intensify at a breakneck pace, making early preparations absolutely vital. Gung Dun looked directly at his master and requested her assistance in absorbing the medicinal energy of the 300-year-old He Shou Wu. The female hall leader's eyes widened slightly in surprise at her disciple's resolute decision. Very well, leave it to me. Then, let us begin the absorption of the spiritual medicine right now. Gung Dun decisively brought the spiritual herb to his mouth and took a large bite. As he chewed, he silently appraised that although a 300-year-old He Shou Wu was not a top-tier, peerless spiritual medicine, it would still be of immense help in accumulating his internal energy, which prompted him to quickly swallow the spiritual herb. I must absorb as much of the medicinal potency from this spiritual herb as possible. Gung Dun sat up straight and called out that he was ready as he felt his master's hands press against his shoulders. Focusing his mind to the absolute limit, he circulated his internal energy along the pathway of the heavenly thunder true yang art to prevent the He Shou Wu's medicinal force from dispersing chaotically into his blood vessels and meridians. A brilliant burst of vibrant orange-yellow energy erupted powerfully, enveloping them both as the refining process officially commenced. She marveled inwardly, thanks to Gungdun's skillful circulation of internal energy. The medicinal force of the He Shou Wu is blending perfectly with the heavenly thunder true yang art. It is as if he were a grandmaster who has cultivated his internal strength for decades. What is this? Unbelievable. Could it be? Has he already absorbed the entire medicinal force of the He Shou Wu? I have never heard of anyone who could absorb the very last drop of medicinal efficacy from a divine medicine. Even though he was born with the 9 yin-blocked meridians, to think his natural talent would be this extraordinary. Gungdun stood up, cupped his hands, and bowed respectfully to his master. She praised, "Astonishing. At this rate, you can take the promotion exam immediately. It is all thanks to Master's grace. I will strive to put in even more effort."
Seas mild fant liwis satisfaction.
"I shall take my leave first. You should rest." Seha's figure gradually faded behind the drifting mists of Mount Huang. Her slender legs suddenly came to a halt mid-stride. That meditation and breathing technique just now. These thoughts keep rushing into my head. I feel as though I can break through the bottleneck of the heavenly thunder true yang art that has blocked me for so long. Her face beamed with immense joy as she silently thanked the serendipitous opportunity her young disciple had brought her. The following day, on the training grounds, June AM was gracefully executing sharp sword strikes, creating trails of light that cut through the wind around the wooden posts. Now, this sword style is called the Lesser Swallow Sword Art. You must achieve at least 50% comprehension of this technique before you can participate in missions. The recruits immediately scattered around the wooden posts and began swinging their wooden swords to practice, though their movements were still extremely awkward and clumsy. Observe this sequence of movements and practice accordingly. A young disciple suddenly froze in his tracks, staring in utter astonishment toward a corner of the training ground. His jaw dropped, unable to believe his own eyes. Did he truly succeed on his very first attempt? To master a martial art technique he had never seen before on his very first try. That is impossible. He is the disciple of the hall master, so could it be that she taught him in advance? Indeed, yesterday, I saw the hall master stepping out of his room. Hearing the whispers, June M frowned slightly, placing a hand on his chin in deep, scrutinizing contemplation. The hall master? June M stepped forward, inquiring of his junior brother with curiosity. "Tell me, Gungdun, did the hall master give you any private lessons?" Brandishing his sword with lightning speed, he conjured sharp arcs of sword chi that enveloped his body. "No, brother. Instead, I think we can move straight to the Dai Dain sword technique." He grasped a martial technique he had never seen before in a single glance. Even the current hall master was not that swift back then. He is truly a monster. Indeed, Gungdun's exquisite sword stance was as though it had already reached the realm of grand mastery. Yet, if his presence were to further inspire the other disciples of the hall, he is a talent truly worthy of the heavenly sword hall. Behind him, his fellow disciples scratched their heads, laughing sheepishly under the sheer weight of the recruit's talent. Having him at our backs is incredibly reassuring, isn't it? Indeed, we had better train diligently unless we wish to be left in the dust by our youngest brother. The eldest brother of the heavenly sword palace spun around in excitement, agreeing on the spot. "Very well then, I shall pass down the Dai Dain sword technique to you." Within the Grand Assembly Hall of the Azure Heaven Alliance, the elders and hall masters sat gathered around the table. The next item on our agenda concerns the situation in Jiangxi. The unorthodox factions continue to assemble and disband, but we have recently received intelligence that the Iron War Camp is pulling the strings from the shadows. The atmosphere in the chamber grew heavy as murmurs rippled through the gathered masters. Perhaps we must intervene with force. If need be, I shall go myself. Lastly, regarding the first cloud disciple of the Heavenly Sword Hall, we have the agenda of whether to permit Gungdun to enter the Jianghu. Seha closed his eyes slowly, unable to suppress the worry gnawing at his heart for his disciple's safety. That we rescued June from the clutches of the Sun-Moon demonic cult was a blessing, but letting him step back into the world is an entirely different matter. Are you saying the boy possesses the 9 severed meridians? Is the answer not already staring us in the face? Was the sole reason we dispatched the master of the heavenly sword hall not to prevent a child afflicted with the 9 severed meridians from falling into the hands of the sun-moon demonic cult? Yet now you wish to unleash that boy back into the Jianghu? Furthermore, since he has even mastered the heavenly thunder true yang art, the sun-moon demonic cult will undoubtedly be ecstatic if they catch wind of this. A sharp clatter echoed through the room as a teacup was set down heavily upon the table to draw everyone's attention. Master of the heavenly sword hall. Ink Master Yoon Kyungdon narrowed his eyes, casting an inquiring gaze in her direction. What are your thoughts on this matter? I do not look upon Gungdun as one who requires protection. The image of the boy standing unyieldingly, sword in hand amidst the harsh winds of the Jianghu, flashed before her. Those who do not take responsibility for their own martial arts have no right to hold a sword. Those were the very words I heard from Gungdun when I first laid eyes on him. We must protect Gungdun's righteousness and guide this budding talent, who is destined to become the divine sword of our alliance, toward the light. Do you fools only see the risk of that brat falling into the hands of the sun-moon demonic cult? He possesses the 9 blocked meridians and is an extraordinary genius of swordsmanship. The sword demon stood tall, arms crossed arrogantly in the grand assembly hall. Has anyone ever possessed such potential or strength before? At least, not a single soul in this room. You always whine about the lack of manpower, yet when handed a sharp sword, you tremble in fear of cutting your own hand. What a pathetic sight. He possesses an astonishing talent for martial arts creation. If our junior gains more experience and matures, he will become a pillar of strength for our alliance. Truly, finding such talent at that age is a rarity. Ink Master Yoon Kyungdon clasped his hands before his chest, gently stroking his white beard in contemplation. I, too, once thought he was no ordinary boy. In that case, what if we allow him to step into the Jianghu now, but exclude any missions related to the sun-moon demonic cult? Agreed. Let it be decided as such. The sword demon turned and sat down with a look of utter indifference. Whatever you decide, it matters not to me. Seha smiled softly with relief upon seeing his disciple receive the consensus of the Alliance elders. For now, young hero, you will focus on missions within Anhui province. Are you clear on the details of your task? Gungdun stood atop a rocky peak with his companion, gazing toward the horizon. Yes, I shall go and investigate the Bui family gang, an unorthodox sect in Dongling. His eyes darted sideways from beneath the brim of his black bamboo hat. I could easily handle this alone. Rewinding to 1 day ago, Gungdun, your first mission has been assigned. Since this is your first time, you shall go with Sui here. Greetings, I am Sui. It is an honor to meet you, senior. He glanced at the gourd flask swaying at his companion's hip, asking with curiosity, by the way, what exactly is that gourd? He pointed at the flask to make sure. Is that alcohol?
Oi chocolate in explanation.
Ah, it is indeed alcohol, but I don't drink constantly, so don't worry about that. I only need it when I wield a sword. Now I'm even more worried. Ignoring his reaction, Sui urged, all right, let's head to the marketplace first to gather some rumors. At a harbor, a crowd clad in red garments were shouting at each other as they hauled a massive iron cage from the deep waters. Pull him up. The rope groaned and strained under the powerful pull of mighty arms. The rope cage broke the surface of the water, revealing a ragged old man inside, coughing and hacking violently. Cough, cough. The leader, his face marred by a long scar, stepped to the edge of the wooden dock and looked down. Are you ready to talk now? Either pay your debt or hand over your daughter. You must choose one. Clinging desperately to the ropes of his cage, the old man wept and pleaded in despair. How can a father surrender his own flesh and blood? Please, I beg of you, just a little more time. Unmoved by the pleas, the leader glared and snarled an order to his henchmen behind him. Lock him back up. The iron cage was plunged back into the freezing waters, drowning out the old man's fading cries for mercy. Please, spare my life. Spare. At the far end of the pier, A solitary figure stood tall and resolute, hand gripping the hilt of his sword as he spoke in a voice of cold steel. "Stop!" Startled, the leader whipped his head around. "Who goes there?" Scanning the stranger's gray robes, a contemptuous sneer curled his lips. Well, what do we have here? The Thuong Thien Association." His eyes narrowed, sizing up the intruder. Realizing the interloper was merely a First Cloud practitioner, he burst into boisterous laughter. "A mere First Cloud dares command me? How utterly laughable! Mad bastard." But his laughter died instantly in his throat as a crackle of lightning flashed past his eyes. With absolute resolve, Gung Dun swung his blade. 13 thunder strikes. A torrent of lightning surged directly toward the crowd. In the third stance, his strikes cleaved through the enemy without a shred of hesitation. Continuous arcs of lightning crackled and struck, severing the heads of the leader and his lackeys in a heartbeat, sending a dark spray of crimson blood high into the air. No matter how much time passes, the wretched schemes of you unorthodox cultists never change. Amidst the mist-shrouded docks, the poor old ferryman shook uncontrollably with terror at the gruesome spectacle before him. He stepped closer, offering a gentle word to soothe the elder. "Are you unharmed?" The old man stammered, choked with emotion. "Thank you, young man." Catching sight of the pile of corpses nearby, the old man suddenly shuddered. Bowing hastily in gratitude, the old man fled as fast as his legs could carry him. "Thank you so very much, my lord." Tap-tapping his finger against the gourd hanging at his hip, Sui observed the battlefield in contemplative silence. No wonder he was so terrified. His sword strikes had been calm, executed without a single shred of hesitation. He had flawlessly gauged the disparity in martial prowess between himself and his foes before making his move. And his footwork was so blindingly swift that the naked eye could scarcely track it. Such masterful combat experience was entirely unlike that of a rookie. "I shall have much to report." The vast, expansive sky gradually came into view. At the entrance of the Bui Gong gang, a guard stood yawning wearily, thoroughly bored. Suddenly hearing hurried footsteps rushing closer, the guard snapped to attention, his eyes widening as he barked, "What? Who goes there?" In response, there was only the sharp ring of a blade drawing from its scabbard. A single strike cut down the guard before he could even recover his senses. A dense fog hung heavy within the confines of the Bui Gong gang. Deep within the lavish banquet hall, the leader of the Bui Gong gang cradled a woman in his arms, drinking wine as he bellowed with smug laughter. That mad bastard refused to pay the toll, so now the interest has snowballed to thrice the original amount. Chuckling gloatingly, he told his mistress that it was thanks to those fools that they could live in luxury. He further calculated that if they handed over the captured commoners to Sango this time, they would make a fortune, telling her to just wait and see. A deafening crash reverberated through the hall, startling everyone inside as they whipped their heads around to stare at the entrance. Gung Dun stepped inside leisurely, sword in hand, coldly delivering his judgment. "So, you have been sucking the blood of innocent civilians just to line your own pockets." The leader sprang to his feet, instantly on high alert, and barked, demanding to know the identity of the intruder. Catching sight of the familiar robes and bamboo hat, they instantly recognized his identity and cried out in sheer panic, "He's from the Azure Sky sect." Realizing their opponent had come alone, the leader instantly ordered his lackeys to charge and slaughter him at once. With a subtle flick of Gung Dun's wrist, the sword in his hand began to crackle, unleashing fierce, roaring arcs of blue lightning. He channeled his power into the blade, and thrust it straight into the ground. A web of crackling electricity surged outward, completely paralyzing every enemy in the vicinity. One thug struggled against the paralysis, hurling 2 razor-sharp daggers in a desperate attempt to ambush him from behind. Yet all efforts proved futile. Gung Dun stood imposing amidst the wreckage, while the rest of the underlings lay scattered across the floor, groaning in agony. A contemptuous smirk played on his lips. "You are far too careless." With just a few basic strokes of his sword, he effortlessly deflected all the incoming projectiles without breaking a sweat. The hidden snipers were knocked back one after another, falling to the ground like withered leaves. Enraged by his sheer arrogance, The 3 remaining thugs drew their swords and charged together in a desperate frenzy, cursing him as an arrogant brat. They lunged from 3 different directions, putting all their might into striking down fatal blows upon his head. The leader's eyes widened in sheer horror as he realized his opponent's silhouette had vanished right before his eyes. With swift, ghost-like movement, Gung Dun somersaulted through the air, evading the onslaught flawlessly, leaving his foes in utter disbelief. He landed gracefully upon their crossed blades, leaving all 3 men completely frozen in shock. With a blindingly fast sweep of his blade, he effortlessly severed 3 of their arms in the blink of an eye. "My arm! My arm!" the enemy shrieked in agony, clutching his severed limb as he collapsed to his knees. "A monster!" The sole survivor trembled as he gazed at the youth standing tall amidst a battlefield littered with the corpses of his comrades. "Everyone, fall back at once. I, the sect leader, shall deal with this brat myself." Inside the dungeon, the guards were swiftly silenced one by one, before they could even utter a sound. Hua Yi's decisive strikes effortlessly cut down those who barred his path, clearing the way for the rescue. The final guard collapsed to the floor, revealing the cell where the innocent townspeople were imprisoned. Hua Yi chuckled softly to himself, finding it rather amusing that he was following the plan of a mere junior. "I heard that Senior Hua has a talent for tracking." That is but one of my minor tricks. While I draw their attention, please find and rescue the townspeople." Will you be all right? That is far too dangerous. The safety of the innocent is our utmost priority." Since he joined without undergoing the initiation trial, solely on the Hall Master's recommendation, I was somewhat concerned about whether he truly possessed the strength. Yet, he not only possesses great strength, but also the fundamental virtues required of a martial artist. The Tsang Tian Society has arrived. You need not worry any longer. Come, let us go outside and breathe some fresh air. This is impossible. The sect leader is he truly being relentlessly driven back by that man's blade? Helpless, the old man cursed inwardly. How could a mere brat possess a sword chi of this magnitude? He is like a demon who has done nothing but obsessively hone his blade for decades. His face drained of all color, the old sect leader seized a hostage and threatened. "You are doing this for these captured peasants, aren't you? Surrender peacefully, or I shall slaughter them all." Gung Dun merely curled his lips into a disdainful smirk. Pointing his blade forward, he said, "You played right into my hand. What made you think I came alone? There isn't a single hostage left there by now." The old man's eyes widened, cold sweat pouring down his face as his trump card proved useless. "Wait, young hero, just hear me out first." Giving him no quarter, he leaped into the air, brandishing his sword as he lunged. With a single, decisive strike, he cut the old man down on the spot. No sooner had he finished than a shiver ran down his spine as he felt a surge of murderous intent closing in from behind. A furious roar echoed as a devastating blast of force rained down upon his head. "You bastard!" The attack was too swift. When did he strike? He wondered. It is too late to draw my sword now. In a flash, he raised his arms into a defensive stance to meet the blow. His inner energy flared, forming a shield of crackling lightning to protect him. The two forces collided violently, triggering a massive explosion that sent debris flying in all directions. An old man in black robes with a white beard stepped out from the smoke, astonished. "A mere brat under 20. Yet you managed to withstand my double palms?" Gung Dun remained unfazed, his cold gaze sizing up his opponent. Stroking his beard, the old man radiated a suffocating pressure. "Who in the world are you?" He glanced at the boy's sleeve and muttered, "Though looking at that azure cloud emblem of yours, I can already take a guess." He clicked his tongue in anger. "You have utterly ruined my retirement plans." Looking down at the corpse of the fallen sect leader, he spat, "Useless fool. I set up that business for you, and yet you go and die like a dog." Piecing the clues together, he asked, "Retirement?" Before thinking to himself, "I thought these guys were just petty loan sharks, but it turns out they have a backer." With a swift motion, he drew his sword and pointed it at the old man. "Prepare to pay for your sins." Then, calmly sheathing his blade, he said, "I want to hear more about that business of yours. Taking a stance once more, he added coldly, "You can postpone your retirement until we are finished talking." The old man roared in fury, "Arrogant brat, you certainly have a sharp tongue." Gung Dun dashed forward with blinding speed, leaving a hazy trail of dust in his wake. Gazing at the electricity crackling across his hand, he thought, the heavenly thunder palm technique. I didn't expect it to be this useful. The two forces clashed in a violent explosion, sweeping away everything in their vicinity. The old man was thrown backward, while he stood as firm as a monolith. The old man stared at his trembling, numb hand. This brat, truly terrifying. He has mastered the scorching sun chi. I must make your inner force my own. Gung Dun was startled as the old man's hand lunged straight toward him. The blow struck his bamboo hat, shattering it into flying fragments. What is this? The old man grabbed the collar of a nearby lackey, preparing to drain his inner force. He choked the subordinate, ruthlessly draining his life force without a shred of mercy. I knew it! The withered corpse collapsed onto the cold ground right before his eyes. That is indeed the heavenly absorption divine art. Is your inner force so pathetic because you cultivated such trashy, evil arts? You brat! How dare you insult me? The old man lunged forward in a frenzy. I want it! I crave it to the point of madness. If I can absorb his yang qi, I can instantly ascend to the peak realm. Missing his target, he slammed his hand against the ground in fury. You little rat! He leaped gracefully onto the rooftop to evade the blow, leaving the raging man far below. Did you collude with the Sun-Moon Divine sect just to trade for this trivial heavenly absorption art? He soared into the air, determined to take his life. That's right. What is the point of hiding it now? I will devour every single drop of your inner force. All right, I have heard enough. What? With absolute resolve, he crushed the old man's hand with a single grip, shattering the bones to pieces. He followed up with a devastating kick straight to the old man's face. The kick sent him hurtling down, crashing violently against the earth. He lay sprawled upon the dirt, his face contorted in agony as he coughed up blood. He plummeted down like a swift arrow to strike the fatal blow. No, cannot be. Spare my life. Coldly wielding his sword, he brought down a bolt of lightning to finish him off once and for all. The battle was over. His blood-stained hand hung loosely beside the corpse. Yong Hiro Yun. What happened here? Su-yi stepped forward, surveying the battlefield. Senior Hio, you have arrived? Is it finished? I tried to get here as fast as I could. You truly know how to leave a mess. Wait, is this not Elder Tang? You know him? Just some underworld scum clinging to the sun and moon demonic cult. Sui nodded slightly in astonishment. First the gang leader and now Elder Tang. He thought to himself, has any rookie ever accomplished such a feat? Who on earth is this boy? I found this on his person. Is this a ledger? Sui took it, flipping through the pages. Flashing back to a few minutes prior. Mister, a timid voice cut in. I cannot find my big sister. Your sister? And I'm no mister. Call me big brother. A woman sobbed. Great hero, before you arrived, they took several children away. Please, save them. The boy clutched his hem tightly. Please, I beg of you. Returning to the present, Su-yi examined the ledger. This is a record of children sold to the sun and moon demonic cult. We must follow their trail. Hurry. Suddenly, Su-yi blocked him with a solemn face. No, young hero, your mission ends here. I will call for reinforcements from the Alliance. You must return. What do you mean by that? I have orders not to allow you to interfere in anything concerning the sun and moon demonic cult. So go back. Sui turned away, avoiding his gaze. He clenched his fists, thinking in quiet fury. The sun and moon demonic cult. Are they planning to hold me back until the very last moment? This is far too perilous for a recruit. Turn back. But... He choked on his words, silenced by his senior's unwavering resolve. I am no ordinary recruit, am I? Junior brother Jun asserted. Huai spoke with absolute finality. There is no room for negotiation. Fall back. He stepped forward, thinking to himself, if I turn a blind eye because of the circumstances, fleeing out of sheer fear. His eyes flashed with defiance. Having drawn my blade, how can I simply turn away? How could that ever be called championing justice? Confronted by his unyielding determination, Hua Yi closed his eyes to ponder. This boy is truly intriguing. Hua Yi let out a chuckle of agreement. Very well, let us go together. I shall send a signal for reinforcements. Understood, but at this late hour, can we still catch up with them? Hua Yi pointed to himself with supreme confidence. Do you know my title? The all-finding sword. I never fail to find my target. Channeling their lightness skill, both of them instantly vanished into the depths of the forest. They glided swiftly through the canopy at a breathtaking speed. Vaulting off the branches, they propelled themselves forward with masterly grace. Hua Yi took the lead. This way. He pointed to the ground. Look at those footprints. That is the Jade Demon steps of the Sun and Moon Demon sect. Hua Yi leapt high into the air. We will catch them, no matter what. In silent admiration, the youth thought. His tracking skills are incredible, to move at such speed without missing a single trace. Panting as he ran, he thought. He must have been tutored by some supreme master. And I now understand why he wanted me to turn back. He assessed his own condition, despite all the training and proper nourishment. He gasped for air in exhaustion. My physical stamina is still too weak. It is hard to keep pace. Crouching behind a bush, Hua Yi whispered, We have caught up with them. Exhausted, the youth sank to the ground, letting out a sigh of relief. We finally made it. Hua Yi began to analyze. The tracks of the two carriages run close together. They intend to board a vessel on the Yangtze River. We must hurry. Once they board the boats, we will lose their trail, and buying time will no longer be an option. He realized Hua Not was deliberately slowing down to wait for him. If you can buy some time, brother, I will do my utmost to catch up. Hua Not patted his shoulder encouragingly. Save your strength. You will need it for the fight when you arrive. With that, Hua Not bolted forward, leaving him far behind. Panting heavily, he vowed to himself, when I return from this journey, I must master the divine body protection art. From high up in the trees, Hua Not observed the guards as they grumbled. This is incredibly dull. When will we finally reach the riverbank? Hua Not counted silently. Just in time. About a dozen guards. I must buy enough time for the kid to catch up. A throwing dagger sliced through the air, burying itself deep in a guard's neck and sending him crashing to the ground. Ambush. Protect the carriage. They are using hidden weapons. From his high perch, Hua Not unleashed a torrent of hidden weapons. As another guard collapsed, the leader deflected an incoming dagger with a swift strike. Why is he only throwing hidden weapons instead of engaging us in close combat? The leader smirked as he realized, could it be? There is only one of them. Prioritize the escort. Move the carriage, quickly. Hua Not clicked his tongue. Damn it, they figured it out too quickly. No other choice. Leaping down, Hua Not swung his sword, grazing the horse pulling the carriage. What a pity indeed for the poor horse. From within the overturned carriage, a faint cry arose. Please save me. Help. Tightly bound, the children wept bitterly. Please save us, mister. At that sight, Hua Not's eyes grew bloodshot with fury. Children! From the carriage behind, a man bellowed, Who goes there? The black-clad figure launched a devastating kick aimed straight at Suyi's head. The kick landed squarely upon him. The sheer force propelled Suyi backward, his feet scraping against the earth and leaving a pair of pale, dusty tracks behind. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead as he thought, If that had hit me cleanly, I'd be dead. What formidable kick technique! The black-clad figure advanced slowly, radiating an oppressive aura. He sneered in derision. Trembling already? How amusing. Afraid. Suyi replied nonchalantly, pulling out his wine flask to take a swig. The scarred man gasped in disbelief. What is this? You still have the mind for wine at a time like this? Wiping his mouth, Suyi said coldly, In my entire life, I have only ever feared one person, and it is certainly not you. With those words, he lunged forward like a bolt of lightning, catching his opponent off guard. Cold sweat broke out on his brow as he sensed the murderous intent from behind. His movements. Sui closed in right beside him. He panicked. Has his aura changed? Sui swung his blade in a direct strike at the black-clad man. The two clashed furiously amidst the dense woods, swords flashing in a fierce duel. Their heavy footsteps thundered against the earth. Gritting his teeth, Sui struggled to parry the relentless barrage of kicks, sweat pouring down his face. Blades and strikes crossed in a relentless exchange of blows. I'm being cornered. Is he a Dharma protector of the demonic sect? Upon joining, those of the demonic sect cultivate either the Yin source or Yang source demonic arts. And those who attain the limit realm are appointed as Dharma protectors. Two dark silhouettes flickered like phantoms, repeatedly clashing in the shadows. You dodge well, scurrying like a little rat. To fight a Dharma protector, one must be at least of the three clouds stage. Sui nimbly wielded his sword, probing for any lapse in his opponent's guard. If the young Namgung were to cross paths with this guy, he would be completely doomed. Losing his momentum, the guardian stumbled back a step. An opening. I have to act now. The blade swept down, only to be stopped with a sharp thud by his arm, clad in protective chi armor. Damn it! He blocked it. What a pity. Was he luring me in? Closing the distance like lightning, he gave him no room to breathe. A devastating kick crashed down, forcing Hua Yi to brace himself in agony to block it. It's futile. The disparity in our internal energy is too great. The impact of the blow sent him flying into the overturned carriage nearby. The children sobbed bitterly at the sight of him coughing up blood. Mister, are you all right? Please don't die. How humiliating. Approaching him, the man sneered. Is this the extent of your skills? You bastards of the Tsangtian Association are nothing but trouble. I won't let you die so easily. Is this the end of the line? Suddenly, a silhouette plummeted from above, hurtling straight toward him. Taken aback, he stared in shock at the object hurtling toward him. A pair of feet touched down lightly and gracefully upon the ground. The corpse of his subordinate was tossed aside, tumbling to the ground right next to him. What the hell is this? Casually stepping forward, the youth called out, Senior Hio. Drawing his sword with confidence, he asked, Do you mind if I step in? Hua Yi breathed a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, Instead of worrying that this kid has come to throw away his life, I actually feel relieved. I'm counting on you. You were never just some ordinary rookie anyway. Brushing the dust off himself, the guardian stood up. Reinforcements. A mere brat who hasn't even reached 20. He frowned, staring at the aura enveloping the boy. How can this brat possess such fierce killing intent? Did my eyes deceive me, Chem? He laughed aloud, masking his unease. Planning to double-team me? But even with another first-cloud brat, it won't change a thing. Swift as lightning, he lunged forward. You talk a big game, but you're still nothing but a brat. The demonic cult guardian unleashed a devastating downward kick. Gung Dun swiftly evaded the blow that shattered the earth, thinking, In terms of cultivation, I am at a disadvantage. Standing firm in his stance, he thought, From third class to first class is when one refines techniques, masters footwork, and channels internal energy. The peak realm allows one to project internal energy outward, forming an external manifestation, boosting both strength and destructive power. He pressed on relentlessly, mocking him. A measly brat with only a single cloud like you. He closed in with lethal strikes. What could you possibly hope to achieve now? Suddenly, he froze, realizing something was wrong with his legs. What? Sensing the anomaly, he retreated to keep his distance. His eyes flashed with a cold, sharp light. Sword chi and palm strikes are, in the end, merely a fraction of martial arts. Fierce clashes erupted within the forest, sword paths intertwining with desperate parries. This brat is like a damn leech. Gung Dun drifted like the wind, closing in on his opponent's flank in the blink of an eye. In a frenzy, the man unleashed a kick, Die! Facing the lethal strike, he did not flinch. As long as I hold a sword, I can do anything. A colossal slash of lightning tore through space, striking straight down upon him. As the dust settled, his motionless figure was left standing in the forest. Collapsing to his knees, he spat out blood and rasped, "How could a first cloud brat?" He collapsed entirely before the boy's towering silhouette. "Be this powerful?" Hua-yi limped forward, speaking warmly, "You've worked hard." He looked anxiously at his senior's bleeding arm. "It is nothing. What matters is your wound, brother." Bowing his head in self-reproach, he said, "Your injury is due to my carelessness. I must train much harder." Hua-yi laughed, flexing his arm to reassure him. "These minor scars are nothing. Do not worry. I have learned so much. We saved the children and retrieved the ledgers. All things considered, our first mission was a resounding success. Wasn't it, brother?" Hua-yi smiled knowingly. "A success? Those words do not even begin to describe it." He thought to himself, single-handedly, that kid took down the entire Pei clan, wiped out the demonic cult guards, and rescued the children. On top of that, he possesses the righteous spirit of chivalry, shielding the innocent, coupled with a terrifying swordsmanship that bridges any gap. A talent of this caliber, there is no way the demonic cult can suppress it. I must write this report with the utmost care. Both stopped in their tracks as they sensed a strange, murderous intent ahead. "I must head to the Emosyang Pavilion to submit the report. You should head back first." "Yes, I understand. I will see you later, brother." A deep, powerful voice resonated. Gung Dun. Taking a defensive stance, cold sweat broke out on his brow. Such terrifying pressure. "Do not be tense. I am the hall leader of the sect-breaking hall, Kong Gu." The sect-breaking hall. Sheathing his sword, he bowed respectfully with clasped hands. "Greetings, Hall Leader Kong." Speaking of the sect-breaking hall, it was a place where thick dust and smoke billowed as a massive surge of energy erupted. Always at the vanguard of close combat, crushing the enemy with devastating power. Charging straight ahead, brimming with killing intent, ready to clear anything in his path. Kong Gu, the hall leader of the sect-destroying hall. The man rumored to be a supreme master of terrifying strength. With every step he took, his feet pounded the earth, radiating a scorching heat. This first mission, word has it you clashed with the Sun-Moon demonic cult. He thought to himself, the pressure is suffocating. Then he replied, "Yes, that is true. Do you know why the Sun-Moon demonic cult would target someone born with the severed 9 meridians?" He held his breath. "He is pressuring me. I know." The emblem of the demonic cult rose in his mind. "They employ dark sorcery and sacrifices. In my past life, they once performed a ritual to craft a vessel half-man, half-woman. Thus, the reason they are targeting me is undoubtedly because my body is the ultimate vessel to harmonize both yin and yang. Then why did you not obediently hide away within the Thuong Thien sect? At least do so for your own life and the peace of the realm. If I were to die, everything would indeed be resolved. Yet, my master granted me a new life, and I believe the purpose of this existence lies within the chivalric spirit of the martial path. Do you think a shred of meager talent gives you the right to style yourself a master and dominate the Jianghu?" The phantoms of his past life materialized. "So long as the ghosts of my past disciples remain unresolved, I would never harbor such thoughts. My blade shall ever strike true." Kang Kok narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing him. "Is this the hot-blooded passion of a genius, or is it? You will be hunted by the demonic cult until your very last breath. Let us see if you have the strength to withstand them. Show me what you can do. Let me witness your swordplay." The blazing axe blade struck directly against his sword, sending a violent shower of sparks flying. "Look at this brat. He fears not my inner force, staring directly into the trajectory of my strike to parry it. Shall I test him a bit further? Have at it." He dodged flawlessly. "Just as I thought. He hasn't even reached the peak realm, yet he perfectly reads my moves. In that case, if I only block, this sword will surely shatter." He stomped his foot to drive forward. I must unleash the great tempest sword art of my past life. Sword chi surged like a raging hurricane, enveloping his entire body. He deflected force with force to neutralize the blow, redirect it with the silk-reeling force. Sword and axe collided, unleashing a shockwave that recoiled upon them both. The roof tiles shattered under the immense pressure. Curse it, I was actually pushed back. What terrifying internal energy! He swiftly regained his footing. He plunged his sword deep into the ground, struggling to arrest his backward momentum from the clash. Earth and stone tore away in his wake. As the dust settled, a deep fissure lay between them. He gasped for breath, yet his fierce aura still gave his opponent pause. The Hall Master's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. Impossible! His feet had been dragged backward. To think I was actually forced back. An unyielding path, recalling the sight of the imprisoned innocents. With an unwavering heart, to save lives and do what is right, he panted. I poured the very spirit of righteousness into that strike. He slowly sheathed his axe. In the beginning, many possess the same righteous fire as you, but in the end, they all falter, remembering his comrades. But my brethren of the Tsangtian sect always stand by my side. Why should I fear? He smirked in approval. To find your own martial path at such a young age, I have witnessed both your talent and your Tao. Gung Dun stood tall and proud. I respect the decision made by you and the master of the Heavenly Sword Palace. An aura of pure energy surged from the Hall Master, enveloping his body. He gathers his internal energy so rapidly. A true master of the three flowers gathering on the crown. Chuckling, he reached into his robes. It would be ridiculous of me to keep lecturing a youngster on the martial path. Flicking the wooden box, the elder sent it flying toward him. Take it! He caught it cleanly. What is this? The elder cleared his throat. An elixir, to heal the internal injuries from parrying my slash. Gazing at the wooden box and then watching the elder's retreating figure, he murmured. But I don't have any internal injuries. He smiled with a sigh. He must have just made up an excuse to give me medicine. Bowing his head at once, he called out, My deepest thanks. Scene change. Elder Yoon kyunged and read a secret report, hesitating. Should I have given him the medicinal pellet as well? I understand why the elders opposed his emergence into the world, but keeping him hidden forever would be a waste. Indeed, it would. As expected. A pleased smile touched his lips. He did not disappoint me. Word of the matter spread far and wide. Hioil might have exaggerated, but he did not lie. Has he already reached the first-rate realm? The disciples bustled with excitement. He must have already mastered the first-rate realm. Junem sat in silent admiration. His talent far surpasses his age. To complete such a mission so effortlessly when he has held a sword for less than a month. Junem suddenly stood up to discipline them. Stop this idle chatter and focus on your sword practice. Yes, senior. A quiet twilight descended upon the Blue Heavens Association. Gung Dun sat cross-legged, circulating his chi. Phew! Clutching the hem of his robe to endure the pain, he thought, meditation helps ease the spasms, but the affliction of the 9 blocked meridians is still tearing my body apart. In my past life, standard external arts were usually enough. But now, with this illness hindering me, I need a new external technique. A knock sounded at the door. Komein. Master Seha entered with a bright smile, cradling a stack of books. Have you finished regulating your breath? My thanks to Master for guarding my meditation. It is nothing. I heard you did splendidly. I am so proud I could carry you on my back. What books are these, Master? Ah, this pile. I fetched them from the Pavilion of Reflection. They will be of use to you. Here are external martial arts manuals and medical texts. Martial arts are one thing, but his master had struck the very heart of his ailment. Understanding your own body is of paramount importance. She beamed radiantly. While you were away on your mission, I read through this entire stack. Your master shall teach you everything. He said with gratitude, My deepest thanks, Master. She gently tapped the hilt of her sword, Even so, swordsmanship remains our utmost priority. Does it not? Of course, she said with excitement. Excellent. To the training grounds we go. Master and disciple stepped onto the Bagua arena, shrouded in a veil of mist. As they charged at one another, she called out, "The 13 lightning strikes is of my own creation." He lunged forward. "Clashing swords with you, master, will surely unlock deeper truths. Here I come." Their blades clashed relentlessly in a seamless, deafening weave. Seha moved with fluid grace, light as a feather. He observed, "Your blade glides with such exquisite elegance. It appears slow, yet it deflects every single strike of my 13 lightning strikes. Your supple sword paths completely dominate the space around us." They shifted positions continuously, trading magnificent, breathtaking strikes. This soft sword art is truly profound. Blue lightning swirled alongside the tempest of sword wind, engulfing the arena. He leaped back to create distance, focusing his mind. Let us see what happens when the heavenly lightning true yang art merges with the hidden sword art. The core essence of the hidden sword is controlling the flow, while the soft sword art seamlessly links the beginning and end of a slash. With but a masterfully light flick of the wrist, she broke my sword's trajectory, as expected of the Hall Master of the Heavenly Sword Hall. Thank you for your guidance, Hall Master. Master, what is the name of that sword technique? The elegant style of layered distant clouds. Within the vast library of scrolls, amidst thousands of ancient volumes. It belongs to the four clouds section. The elegant style of layered clouds, four clouds. Incredible. I absolutely must make it my own, Master. May I try putting it to the test now? A spar with the Hall Master? Even just watching is enough to steal the technique. I will not let this opportunity slip away. Slowly, he rotated his blade, focusing his mind. Lowering his stance, he pointed the tip of his sword toward the earth. The opening stance of the elegant style of layered distant clouds? Is he trying to mimic it, without even reading the secret manual, but solely through clashing blades? Without a moment's hesitation, he swung his blade high. Blue lightning erupted, swirling into a tempestuous vortex. His master thought to herself, "It is slow, yet it deflects attacks from all directions. This is indeed the essence of the soft sword art. He is not merely mimicking it." She smiled with satisfaction, gliding forward to meet her disciple's strike. The two blades clashed, sending sparks flying. Untouched by the secret manual, his footwork remained precise and swift. His innate genius is vividly displayed in every elusive movement. A perfect mastery of the core principles of the layered distant cloud stance. Seha swept past like the wind, leaving afterimages drifting across the training grounds. With a graceful flip, she effortlessly evaded her disciple's lethal strike, landing with audacious grace. Once more, their blades clashed head-on, their eyes locked in absolute concentration. With every clash of steel, he slowly began to grasp his opponent's battle rhythm. Though catching his breath, a thrill of excitement curled the corner of his lips. Master is guiding me so that I may comprehend the Tao on my own. She smiled with satisfaction at her disciple's progress. Master is truly patient in tempering me. Two figures clashed fiercely in the center of the arena. The disciples gaped in awe. He is fighting on equal terms with the Hall Master. Even if she is holding back, this is terrifying. A true monster. But, despite his absolute focus, his breathing is beginning to falter. A body plagued by the 9 severed meridians has reached its absolute limit. His legs are trembling violently. That is enough. She sheathed her sword. A fine spar. Remember this well. Master. Cupping his hands in supplication, he pleaded, "Please, Master, allow me to witness your swift sword as well." Shock registered on her face. What? Still not enough, he thought. The blunt sword, the soft sword, I must master the swift sword as well. Taking a decisive step forward, he said, "I know the swift sword is Master's true ultimate technique." Master fell silent, pausing in contemplation. "Very well. You must have thought this through to make such a request. As my disciple, you must experience this technique." Her eyes flashed with killing intent. Here I come. Her figure vanished in an instant, unleashing a slipstream of slicing wind that forced him to hastily raise his guard. As their swords clashed, blue lightning erupted. Master's lightning chi is incredibly sharp. This speed is on an entirely different level. My arms feel as though they are about to burst. Had you not created the 13 flashes yourself, this is the first sword style I would have passed down to you. The heavenly lightning true yang sword style. The disciples shielded their faces in astonishment.
So fast.
I can't even see them. As the dust settled, two figures stood revealed in the center of the Bagua arena. Incredible. With a master of this caliber, I will surpass the realm of my past life in no time. My 13 flashes will evolve even further. Gripping the hilt of his sword with resolve, he muttered, "Thanks to Master, the path ahead has finally become clear. I have learned so much. Thank you, Master." As twilight descended and the other disciples dispersed, he sat alone upon the stone steps, lost in contemplation. Massaging his aching arm, he thought, "My body has truly reached its limit. Is ordinary external conditioning simply not enough?" Junam stepped forward and called his name. He turned to greet his senior. Seeing him exhausted, Junam asked warmly, "Are you all right? You did exceptionally well, but you must bolster your external conditioning quickly." Staring at his trembling hands, he thought, "He is right. I must find a way to train my external arts as soon as possible. Why don't you pay a visit to the Iron Tower Hall?" "Where is that, brother?" Junam gave a knowing smile. "Go there and you shall see for yourself, but it is a den of muscle-bound fanatics. If you meet the hall master there, you will learn much about external conditioning. Every single one of them has monstrous external arts. Do they prefer training in isolation rather than in groups?" 3 halls reign supreme among the 10 of the Sword Fragrance Division. And of those top 3, the Iron Tower Hall possesses the mightiest external conditioning. The Heavenly Sword Hall has not cracked the top rankings yet, but it is only a matter of time. As he was lost in thought, a booming voice called out his name. A heavily built man with a thick mustache walked over. "What wind blew you to this place? You know of me?" He threw back his head and roared with laughter. "How could I not know the most famous rookie in the martial world today?" His presence stirred a flurry of whispers among the disciples, all murmuring about his defeat of the demonic cult's guardian. "As for you, do you know who I am?"